A top Hamas leader is dead in Iran, and world leaders fear the Middle East is on the precipice of a major regional war. Iran blamed Israel for an airstrike in Tehran that killed Ismail Haniyeh and has vowed revenge. It comes only 4 days after Hezbollah launched Iranian-made drone rockets that killed 12 children in the Israeli town of Majd al-Shams. Israel responded to that strike with a drone attack in Beirut that killed a Hezbollah commander. Joining us with more is Fleur Hassan Nahum, Israel's Foreign Ministry Special Envoy. Fleur, thank you for joining us. First, our hearts and prayers go out to the Druze families who lost their loved ones in that Hezbollah drone attack. I can't imagine as a parent sending your kids out to play in a soccer field and having missiles strike them down. Now the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Iran, Israel's conflict with Hamas and Hezbollah may soon escalate into a broader war. So how capable is Israel to manage a two, maybe even a three-front war, Gaza, Lebanon, and Iran?
Well, it's not ideal, as you can imagine. We didn't want any of this. On the 7th of October, we were brutally attacked from the south. And on the 8th of October, they started attacking us from the north, which is reminiscent of all the different wars that Israel has had to fight for its existence from 1948, when all the Arabs' armies around the region, all the neighboring Arab countries, attacked Israel in the hope of destroying Israel. But we have essentially Iranian proxies trying to destroy the state of Israel. And like in 48 and 67 and 73, when we were incredibly outnumbered, and in those days we were also out firepowered, we didn't have the military that we have today, and we won those wars. And if we have to fight a multi-front war, we will fight a multi-front war. We don't want any war at all. But if Israel is capable, absolutely. When you're fighting for your life, you give it everything you've got, and that's always been our secret.
Well, what must be done then to prevent an escalation?
Well, the first thing that Hezbollah should do is actually go to the resolution 1701, which was the UN resolution that was signed at the end of the 2006 war. All they have to do is really comply with an agreement they signed, and that is to go and take their troops behind the Litani River, which means it gives Israel a buffer zone between Hezbollah and our border. What's been happening since October 8th, we have had to mass evacuate. At the beginning, 100,000 people. Now it stands at 60, 70,000 people from the north, 10 kilometers from the border. And we've done something that we've never had to do, and that is create a buffer zone within our country and not outside our country. We need to get back to the point that we return our displaced people back to their homes, and that we have enough of a buffer zone with Hezbollah to protect our communities in the north.
Well, we know that missile that killed those 12 children in Majd al-Shams was made in Iran, and Iran sent about 150 ballistic and cruise missiles directly from Iran against Israel back in April. We can't forget that. And now they're funding and have been continuing to fund and arm Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis against Israel and her allies, as you mentioned. So what needs to be done then to stop Iran from spreading this violence in the Middle East?
Well, first of all, the West has to accept that Iran is the problem. Remember, at the beginning of this administration, we had another attempt at cutting a deal with them. These people are genocidal jihadists. And so the last thing America has to do is try and get towards a deal with Iran. They should be isolated. We should have maximum pressure. And we should actually think about regime change in Iran, which is something that the Iranian people, 80% of the Iranian people, want regime change in Iran. And that's what we should be working towards. Because otherwise, everything else going on, whatever Israel's doing and whatever America helps us to do, is whack-a-mole. Because everything goes back to Iran.
Well, how might these two assassinations then affect Israel's effort to get American and Israeli hostages back? I guess ceasefire talks are unlikely to proceed now.
Well, that's a good point. I'm not sure what's going to happen now to the hostage negotiations, which is very sad for those families who have been relentlessly advocating for a deal to get their loved ones home. So I'm not sure what happens now in terms of the hostage negotiations. But I still think that the pressure on Hamas now, with the number two political person, the guy who brings them the money, the guy that brings them international allies, That guy is now gone. I'm hoping that Yahya Sinwar, who is the mastermind of all of this, will now feel the pressure, will now feel the isolation in order to perhaps want to save his own neck and make a deal with Israel.
Well, it sounds like he wants to be a martyr. To American politics, it looks like Kamala Harris is going to be the Democrats' presidential nominee. How concerned are you about her stance on Israel, and what difference would selecting Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, a Jew, as her vice president make on her Israel policy?
Well, Josh Shapiro is a well-known Israel ally. He is somebody who is very happy to call himself a proud Zionist. And so I'm very happy that he's being considered. We need good people. We need people who understand who their real allies are. I believe that Vice President Kamala Harris made a mistake by not going to the speech of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. At that point, she's chose the fringe and not the center. And this is really, I think, ultimately not good for her electoral hopes. But I hope she understands that the real enemy here is Islamic fundamentalism. And it troubles me deeply when I saw a little clip of her 3 days ago speaking to a Muslim audience saying, I don't believe in Islamic fundamentalism. I don't believe in using that word. So I don't understand really what her stance is. I'm not sure anybody really understands what her stance is on foreign policy in the Middle East. But somebody like Josh Shapiro could really help her.
Okay, Fleur Hassan Nahum, Israel's Foreign Ministry Special Envoy, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.